This short video answers a fairly key question, what is money? But it also answers another vital question for savers and investors, what money is not. Okay, I'll leave you with that thought. Let's crack on. Why do we have money? Well, think about what would happen if we didn't have money. If we didn't have money, how would you get a transaction done? You'd have to use something called barter. You'd have to sort of swap stuff for other stuff. All right? How would that actually work? Well, take an extreme case, perhaps you might be thinking, you could say, I will swap cows that I don't want for bananas that I do. Or if it's a service rather than a good, I'll give you 2 hours of my accounts expertise time and you'll spend 2 hours fixing my roof or mending my car. That's a barter economy. There's no money involved. We're just swapping stuff at an agreed rate directly. All right? Now you might think, well, that's good, that'll work nicely, but actually you fairly quickly hit some practical problems. What is the banana-cow ratio? Or what's the accounts roof fixing ratio? It's all right agreeing that with your mate or with people around the village, but frankly, once you go wider than that, you'll start to get disputes fairly quickly about how much of one thing is worth in relation to another. Portability is a bit of an issue with things like cows and, to some extent, large quantities of bananas. All right. Divisibility is also a problem. It's not always easy to work out where you need a proportion of something in relation to a proportion of something else. You might end up with an answer of 3.5. How's that going to work? And storability. What about future transactions? What about saving? So, money, in essence, tries to solve some of these problems. With money, you exchange goods and services for money. So what is money? Well, quite a few things have been tried in the past. So why is it we've settled on notes and coins? That's worth a quick mention. What's been tried in the past? Well, lots of things. Peppercorns, they're portable and divisible, so we're getting some of the way there. Cowrie shells, they're also valuable, so that adds a bit. Barley, silver and gold. So these things have something in common. They're all commodities. And these two at the bottom in particular have actually been used as money, as currency in the past. So why aren't they any longer? Well, gold in particular, of all the things on this list, gets you pretty close to something that obeys all of those rules I just mentioned, solves all of those problems. But notes and coins arguably take you one step further than even gold. So let's take a look at that. Gold's pros and cons. Now, gold is difficult to mine or print, and gold bugs, fans say that's great. All right, that makes it relatively scarce. It means you can't get a lot of forgeries in the market. It means central banks can't go around just printing notes, causing inflation, for example. So there's one advantage. It's universally liked. Everyone likes gold, all right? And that's important because you're going to swap it for other things. It's important that the other person is happy with what they're getting in return. It's tough and divisible. So it's got that great combination of being tough. It won't break, it won't tear, it won't rip, you can't destroy it very easily, it doesn't melt very easily, but it can be turned into large bars or small coins. And it's difficult to fake. Right, it's quite hard to reproduce. And these are all important qualities, or most of them are important qualities of something you call money. However, in large quantities, it gets less and less practicable to ship around. Limited supply is an issue. Now, why is that an issue? Well, people who favour what's called money or fiat money would say that having a limited supply of gold can restrict trade and growth. Because if you're forcing everyone to do transactions in something of which there is a limited supply, a commodity, you can actually limit the volume and value of transactions that can get done. And you can potentially create quite a big problem if there isn't enough of the commodity you're calling money to go around. That can quickly introduce price volatility. What's more, you can encourage hoarding and speculation. People might try to corner the market in the commodity that you're calling money. So, to resolve one or two of those issues, and I've covered them fairly quickly here, we have notes and coins in what's called fiat form. Now, fiat form just means that these days, pounds sterling can't be directly converted at a central bank into gold, perhaps as once they could be. It means that you are relying on the central bank to maintain the supply. So the reason you have confidence in a £10 note is you know that if it gets too battered, it will be withdrawn from service by the central bank and cancelled. Equally, you won't get loads and loads and loads flooding the market. Why not? People often say, why can't the central bank, the Bank of England, make us all richer by printing £1,000 and handing it over? And the answer is that wouldn't work. Why? Because you create a whole load more money, but you haven't created any more goods and services in the economy, so the money chases those goods and services harder and drives up the price. which means no one's better off. All right, so just bear that in mind. But notes and coins do have that extra flexibility, plus they obey all my earlier requirements, hence the reason why they have become the form of what we know as money. And the IMF, to summarise what money is all about, who better to ask than the International Monetary Fund, they've said that money should be three things. It should be a convenient medium of exchange. What it certainly is, you can carry around notes and coins really easily and swap them for other things on a whim, now or in the future. So people need to be able to trust money's value in the short term so that they're happy to receive money in, say, 3 months' time as opposed to right now. It's a very useful and convenient unit of account, and it solves that divisibility problem. You can have big notes, big coins, small coins, and so on. And you can make them relatively difficult to forge, copy, and the rest of it. It's also short-term, a great store of value, says the IMF, but over longer than the short term, is it really a store of value? And as a saver or an investor starting out on that journey, be careful here. And here's the reason. It's called inflation. Let's imagine I give you £1. I hand it through the camera to you right now. You're going to keep it for 25 years. So far, so what? You take it out after 25 years, you've still got £1. Yes, but what purchasing power have you got? What can you buy? And the answer is nothing like £1's worth of stuff because of inflation. Inflation eats away at what's called the real value of that pound. And let's just finish up this starter video by asking how fast. Now, if I take three rates of inflation, 2% is low, 5% is medium, and 10% is high, and we're going to start with £1, so that's 100 pence over there. What's the real value in purchasing power terms after 25 years with inflation of just 2%? Some people say 2%, too low to care. Well, you should care. 25%, by the way, is a very realistic horizon for people to think about saving and investing over. All right. After 25 years at 2% inflation, your pound will only buy 60p's worth of stuff in purchasing power real terms. In other words, it's lost 40% of its value cumulatively. Crank up the rate to something nearer the UK's long-term inflation rate since the 50s of 5%, and the damage is even worse. Now, your pound will only buy 30 pence worth of stuff in real purchasing power terms. And crank the rate up to 10%, a bit aggressive, but we have been there before in the UK. I know we're not there now, but we have been there before. And suddenly, your pound is worth under 10p in real terms. So there it is. The message from this video is short and sweet. Money has lots of very sensible uses. Hardly surprising we have notes and coins in circulation. We don't barter anymore. But as a store of value, got to question its usefulness. Short term, yes, great. Medium to long term, be careful. There are better places to protect your wealth in real terms than notes and coins.